Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us for another Thursday broadcast of Taking It Back with my good friends, Frankie Val and Zach Payne. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Super
good.
sweet.
What I'm doing right now is I'm looking at. I have it on my SoundCloud. That's where I host my podcast. But I have a very, very few collection of likes. Here it is. There's a very small collection of things that I have liked on SoundCloud, so I always know where I can go to get certain things. And there is a remix. There's a Dayman remix over here that I've been listening to for years now.
Oh, no doubt. Will you send it to me?
Dude, hold on. Let me
Play it.
Zach was just bringing up Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and this is so damn fun. I just put it into the webinar chat over there. It's up to you what we have going on today. If you want to
I
play
don't.
at the end,
Dude, we can do whatever we want.
play a little bit of it just until it gets to like the.
Whoa. Calm down, SoundCloud. There we go. All right. Here you go.
Drops great. Oh, I can't hear it.
I gotta share. There we go.
They love me in a world of darkness without your sexy hands, and I miss you, nightman, so
Yeah, man. I haven't listened to that like at least 2 years.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
I did not have that on my bingo card as to how we were going to start the show today, but I'm all for it. Good shit, Frank.
well, Zach brought it up. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Oh man.
Here's something to throw to the dogs over here. Did you see this is why I call them the Axios powers. Did you see what Axios published earlier on today?
No, was it from an anonymous source within the Central Intelligence Agency?
Here's the headline. It's called Selective Memory on Trump's Economy. And you want to know what the Twitter caption was? Trump supporters cite his economic record as a reason to vote for him. But that's a bit puzzling because his economic record is only good if you leave off what happened from March of 2020 to the end of his administration.
Oh wow! Like absolutely no context given there, huh?
Yeah, it's like if you only count everything up to the moment that people were deliberately traumatized, forced into severing contact with their families, surrendering their jobs in exchange for welfare, and then coerced into becoming lab rats. Well, then sure, the Trump years were pretty good.
You know, I don't know how I missed that, Frank.
I can't.
Axios, thank you so much for opening my eyes. I mean, how could I have missed that oversight?
Oh.
These people.
Who are they fooling with that? Like, that's what I want to know. Like
no one. Absolutely no one, Adel. They're fooling themselves. They are willfully blinding themselves to the truth of what actually happened. I mean, even Jamie Dimon, I'm sure you guys heard that.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, Trump was right on the border. He was right on China virus. He was right on the economy. I mean, he was right on everything.
That was wild. You just consider who he is, right? And where he was and the channel he was on. Like, he's sitting there in Davos on CNBC, basically saying, like, you guys need to back off MAGA. Trump a lot of stuff. Like, it was pretty incredible to hear.
And they all agreed too. That's what I was more shocked at, is that they were like, he's got a point. he's right.
You know, I guess to the other, you know, just to answer that even more directly, you know, why do they keep doing? Do they think that this is getting through to anybody? Of course, it's no, but it's just, why do they have to? They're astroturfing. They have to continue to astroturf. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if it doesn't take. Some people, it's just going to be a little bit of an affirmation of things that they have already accepted as truth. It's all ideological, of course, but it's, you have to keep publishing this shit just so that there's something fresh at the top of all of the rigged search engines. It's just an astroturfing situation that has to go on, even though there is a bit of, group therapy that's involved with it. But it's pathetic.
And the other aspect is, I mean, obviously they want that stuff to be front and center on every search engine. Anytime they hear Jamie Dimon praising Trump on his correct and the correct things that he was right about in his administration. Let's see, how was Trump's economy? And then they search that up, and Axios's article comes up as the first little tile there in Google. And it says, no, Trump's economy wasn't good. It was actually very bad if you ignore the first 3 years. And of course, the people who are trying to have that validated in their minds, they're going to go, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. But there's also the aspect that if they were to backpedal on any of this stuff and admit, like Jamie Dimon did, that Donald Trump was correct about anything, well, then it negates the last 8 years of reporting that they've been able to get out there, okay? And they lose all credibility. I mean, not that they have much. Anyways, the people who know and the people who've been paying attention, they lost credibility a long time ago. But there is still that slim segment of the American public. And then, of course, there's also the people who are bankrolling them, who, if they go back on what they said previously, well, those checks are going to stop coming in.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's interesting to me though, because I feel like even the moderate to like the normie out there that isn't super, focused on politics or news or whatever can remember even in 2020, like the stock market was good despite the pandemic. Like I was day trading a little bit at that time and doing fine with it. Like it was being reasonably successful with it. Gas prices were still low. Inflation hadn't really hit, or like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Like there was a dip for sure when the lockdowns first hit, but it recovered pretty damn quickly. And I never felt like things got awful under the watch of Donald Trump. It wasn't until this current regime came in that everything kind of went to hell. So I don't even understand completely what they're claiming. And then going back to the Jamie Dimon thing, I was watching that, and I was watching Steve Bannon on the War Room. I just happened to flip it on, and he was playing that clip, and he said that Jamie Dimon, he's saying that because he feels that the most likely scenario to play out is that we will have another Trump administration, and he wants access to that administration. He wants to be able to pick up the phone and kind of make demands or have some kind of influence. Do you think that's the motivation behind someone like Jamie Dimon saying that on that stage, or is there something else going on there? Because why would Jamie Dimon come out and say stuff like that? You're wrong about this, or Trump was right about that. We need to stop bashing half the country as if they're all domestic terrorists, was essentially his messaging there. I thought it was an odd source to hear.
I think there's two things going on. Possibly he's jockeying for some sort of leverage or position because he is, generally respected in the financial community as, with his position at Chase. But I think there's also the possibility that Jamie Dimon actually is a human being. And he truly is disgusted by the direction the country has gone and the way that the mainstream media has treated all of us. But most importantly, his wallet is also being affected, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes,
gotta be. You can't go to war with humanity. You can't go to war with free humanity this way and expect it to stay good just for everybody on the top. I mean, they'll have the resources to weather the storm a little bit better than everybody else. But I mean, I don't know if you have anything invested in society being stable, then why it's just gets to a point where you have to stop playing games, and every once in a while you'll get these little shades of truth coming out of people that you don't expect.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, well, we have a couple opening show sponsors. Let's go ahead and take care of them. and then we'll come back and jump into some more stuff here. First is love litters. Attention to all you badlanders with purring pals and feathered friends. Say hello to love litters. 100% pure, kiln-dried wood, free of chemicals, and oh so kind to Mother Earth. No dust, no mess, no toxins. Just a lightweight solution that's gentle on your wallet and even gentler in your home. Our biodegradable litter is crafted from wood destined for landfills, given a new purpose in your pet's life. Cats love it. Our astonishing formula works like magic to neutralize that notorious cat urine odor, keeping your home pine fresh and welcoming. For bird lovers, it zaps moisture from bird droppings, troubling them away, all while being safe if pecked at or ingested. For reptiles and critters too, our mix is crafted to dilute the pine scent, ensuring those little lungs stay happy and healthy. Plus, every 30-pound bag of love litters will last up to 6 months, saving you money. Transform your pet care routine today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/litter. That's badlandsmedia.tv/litter, and breathe easy with a litter that loves your pet as much as you do. And then also, we have our friends at Goldco. You've seen the signs, felt the tremors in the financial landscape, and you know what? It's looking like a lot like 2008 all over again, a time when countless Americans watched their retirement savings vanish into thin air. There's a solution that's as tough as we are: precious metals, the guardians against inflation and dollar devaluation. The path to safety is simpler than you might think. Gold Coat offers the white glove treatment, guiding you step by step. You won't need hours, just a few minutes to start securing your future. This isn't a painful process. It's a shield of protection for your wealth. Gold Coat has earned their reputation through honesty, professionalism, and thousands of 5-star reviews. Their track record speaks for itself. Open an account with Goldco, and you could get up to $10,000 in free silver. Now that's an offer you don't want to miss. It's time to diversify and protect your savings like the warriors you are. Visit badlandsgold.com today. So there you go. Our two sponsors to open up the show, and appreciate you guys supporting the sponsors. And also, if you're watching on Rumble, make sure you give us a thumbs up, share the link. Those of you on pill.net, hit that red pill button, please, and repost the show. All right, guys. So since we hung out last, we had the kickoff of the Republican primary with the Iowa caucus, which was absolutely beautiful. Donald Trump got over 50% of the vote. A historic win, victory as far as margins go.
Mm-hmm.
And, watching the establishment, right, and the entire media landscape losing their minds has been a lot of fun. Frank, I know you had Rich Barris on your show a couple of days ago talking about the Iowa caucus. I didn't get a chance to see the interview, but any interesting insights he brought through his data and his polling and whatnot?
I asked that he just pretty much explained, and I've since forgotten exactly what it was. But he explained the reason why it was so easy to project a victor within the 8 o'clock hour. You know, I was just kind of, hobnobbing with my audience a little bit in the beginning of the show, asking them what they were going to do for the rest of the evening until the results came in. Thinking, okay, you're going to get something around maybe 10, 11 o'clock. And the fact that it was right after my intermission, I said, is this for real? And so, I saw that there was a little bit of overlap and concern between people who support Donald Trump, people who support Ron DeSantis, the three people who support Nikki Haley, Vivek, all that. And all, there was a lot of, joined concern about how this is possible and whether or not we should like something that is so shoot from the hip until all of the voting had been finished and all that stuff. So I had seen that, but he gave me some reassurances as to why exactly in this situation it was very easy to see that from the preliminary votes that were cast that came in, that it was going to be up. It was going to be Trump by a landslide, obviously. But other than that, I asked him about what the hell I asked him about. It was only like a 15, maybe 20-minute segment. I had to go and isolate it, but he seemed like this was really just going to be par for the course. The other thing that he said, that despite what anybody is saying, that there is some kind of a neck and neck tight race in New Hampshire that is forming between Donald Trump and the miraculous Nikki Haley is just not real at
Oh
all,
yeah,
at all.
I saw some polling this morning that shows Nikki Haley in second place, but it's like second place with close to what she got in Iowa, like 19%. But Ron DeSantis is polling less than undecided. So I want to ask you guys a question. I was not surprised with the results in Iowa.
Yeah.
And considering that margin, it didn't matter how many more votes for either of the other people were going to be cast. Donald Trump was already the victor. So they didn't need, it wasn't election interference, Ron. Do you guys think that the people who have turned their backs on Donald Trump and who have thrown their support behind Ron DeSantis, either for ideological reasons or monetary reasons, maybe, do you think that they're going to be able to turn it around and now support Donald Trump once he is the inevitable nominee for president of the United States? Or do you think they're going to hold fast to their egos and support somebody else?
Adel, you want to take that, because I asked Rich that as well, so I guess I can
Sweet.
wait.
Yeah, well, my thought is you're gonna have some that come crawling back for sure. You already saw Steve Cortez do his like apology dance and
culpa.
But then you'll have people like Bill Mitchell, that miserable old fuck, who will probably go and move on to Nikki Haley, and then who knows, maybe even vote for Joe Biden or RFK Jr. or start promoting someone like that, because he's so dug in on the anti-Trump stuff. So I think it just depends on how hard they've been going at it, and how much they've kind of really put into it. So I think it's a combination of the two.
Those the people who have like been supporting DeSantis, and tell me if you guys think I'm wrong on this, but it seems like they have been like vitriolic, like just virulently throwing their weight behind Ron DeSantis. And I felt like it was a desperate play to try to drag people kicking and screaming from MAGA over to Ron DeSantis's America First light. And so the people that I've seen online thus far, they've been less than contrite. I mean, it's been difficult for them to admit that their candidate is not going to be the guy. And I've seen a couple of people say, we will never support Donald Trump. But yes, Frank, what did Rich say about this?
Well, I'm with you on that, where first of all, I always have to tell myself, all right, let's try to separate what we are seeing on Twitter, which is a looking glass delusion, and what the average people out there in, kitchens across the country who are having just regular decision making and talking about politics in a loose sense, but don't really watch any of shows like ours, don't do anything. That's the majority of people who are going to be voting in these primaries and, of course, in the election. And I asked him about that. I said, because, Rich, because what I have seen is that the knives, the Trump versus DeSantis crews that are out there, it has been so bloody, and it has been very, very it's been vicious. I personally don't care who a person votes for. I may not agree with them. Again, I don't have too much vested in any of it. I'm not paid by any campaign. I think if somebody's out there and really just believes in something, then good for them. If they're taking money to believe in something and to double down and hunker down, that's something else. But that being aside, I wanted to know, outside of this little sectarian war that we have been able to watch on Twitter and everywhere else for the last 6 to 8 months, was that going to translate into any portion of Donald Trump's 2020 support being gone forever? Because, as they like to say, that in these states that swung toward Joe Biden magically, there was a cumulative total of 80,000 votes was what made the difference between a Joe Biden and a Trump presidency. So I was wondering if there is 80,000 people out there that, like, how much of this would actually impact them.
Yeah.
And he said, outside of what you're seeing on Twitter and people just trying to slice each other's throats, the vast majority of Ron DeSantis voters said they will vote for Donald Trump if he ends up being the incumbent, which is not the nominee, which is not the same for the left. He said one thing. I think he said that the left is like 30% of a loyalty rating or whatever, but for average people who are not trying to slice somebody's throat on Twitter and think that that is all there is to reality, the vast majority of Ron DeSantis supporters are going to vote for Donald Trump, and that's just the way it is.
Okay, I kind of felt like that was the case, and I totally am with you on the vitriol and the kind of manufactured rage that we see on Twitter. I clearly feel that the biggest Twitter Ron DeSantis supporters are on the campaign payroll in some form or another, because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that paycheck is not going to keep coming in. Christina Pushaw is going to call and say, "Why aren't you supporting your candidate?" if they're not doing it the way that they want them to.
Didn't the DeSantis campaign fire a bunch of people recently?
They did. They folded the war room, and Christina Pushaw, I'm pretty sure she announced that she's going to retire from politics, because who the hell would hire her now anyways?
At this point.
Yeah.
What is so then what the hell what's the deal? Is New Hampshire going to be the backbreaker for everybody? Are they even is Ron DeSantis really going to try to hold on until Super Tuesday? What?
I don't know about Ron DeSantis, but I think South Carolina is probably the backup for Nikki Haley when she goes in there and gets absolutely boat raced in her home state. I think that's when, she goes. I don't know about Ron DeSantis. He should probably drop out after Iowa, honestly, and it seems like he's on his way doing that. If they fire his war room and whatnot, it seems like he's already got one foot out the door. So, but I think Nikki Haley getting boat raced in South Carolina, 'cause that's part of Super Tuesday, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So now, and remind me, if you say, okay, well, I'm shutting down the campaign, that just really means that you're no longer going to be making appearances or trying to really state your case to the public. That doesn't mean that on Super Tuesday or whatever, Vivek Ramaswamy he's still going to be on the ballot though, right? He's just bowing out.
Yeah, well, if the ballot's already printed, then yeah, he's going to be on there. But I mean, he's not officially running anymore. As far as like the DeSantis, war room, that's like a specific sector of the campaign that they used to organize those Twitter outrage mobs, and also to produce memes and stuff like that, and work on strategy. So they're folding that, but that's an effort to save money, because they're going to put that money into something else like advertising buys on television and radio. And you also got to remember that whatever money Ron DeSantis doesn't spend, he gets to keep. I mean, that remains in his war chest. All right. So between now and the time that he actually bows out, there is the opportunity for him to make continued appeals to people with money and say, all I need is another $10 million, and I'm going to, blanket the airwaves with ads blasting Donald Trump having something to do with the vaccine. And then it'll be a picture of me and Casey at the end, and people are going to love it. And even if he doesn't spend all that money, he still got that money. I mean, a lot of this is honestly about money. Here's the other thing, is that people often forget that while you're running for office, doesn't matter what office it is, you can pay yourself a salary. And if you are employed in one sector or something like that, you just pay yourself as much as you were getting paid before. So you leave your job, you get the campaign funds, you pay yourself a salary because you're out there working, you're doing stuff. And then, this is one of the reasons why people will kind of continuously campaign, because they don't want a real job. Maybe they actually do want to get into politics, but if they're not working a career, then they can just continue to take money from the campaign account and they're all set.
Is that what Ralph Nader was doing all those years?
I mean, I don't know how much money was coming into the Green Party, but, he may have been.
Definitely what Bernie Sanders was doing all those years. I mean, that guy was raising ridiculous amounts of money and then taking the payoff to quit and then just doing it again and again. So I think there's definitely something to that for sure. Did you guys catch Nikki Haley at the end, or giving her speech after the Iowa caucus, talking about it's very clearly a two-person race now? She's very proud. She came in third.
So the only way that makes sense is if somebody on her campaign hadn't told her that she came in third yet, because it may have been a two-person race, but she's not one of those people.
Yeah.
Seemed way too happy about it. The only other thing, and my buddy Drunk Pinata brought this up yesterday, is that her and DeSantis have been, very much convinced that Donald Trump will be ineligible or removed from the picture at some point between now and November. And she kind of let it slip right there that, it's between her and DeSantis. you know, any possibility of that? You guys think that was kind of what she was getting at, or is she just that stupid?
Wish.
Yeah, I don't know. It could, yeah, like maybe ridiculously wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I am more inclined to chalk it up to it's just a another woman saying something very cringe on the. I mean, whether it's her or whether it's what's her name from Minnesota. Who's the other one? Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah.
Like when it's like you can always count on women like that who are running for office to just say something strange and cringe all throughout the experience that may not have any more deeper issue, but they're just looking for something cool to say, and it came out sounding terrible, and detached from reality. I'm willing to just chalk it up to that for now, but that doesn't mean that there isn't obviously still big time operations on out there that is whose intention is to override Donald Trump's civic right to go and run for office again. We know that's going on, but as far as Nikki Haley telegraphing something, I think she's just a loser.
Yeah, she's hoping that Donald Trump will be off the ballot. It's like a suppression operation. You know, she goes out there and says those things, and she hopes that certain voters are going to start buying into it. Oh, you know, I guess maybe Donald Trump doesn't have a hope in hell, so I'm going to go ahead and support DeSantis or Haley. But here's the thing: all of these cases against him are collapsing. I'm sure you guys have been following what's going on down in Fulton County. Nathan Wade digging tunnels and Fannie Willis going on cruises. And the case in D.C. that's not going anywhere before the election. He's been put back on the ballot in I think every place
Maine.
that he was taken off. Yeah, Maine he was put back. Colorado he's put back because they stayed the decision. What was it? Connecticut, is that another one where they tried to do it? You know, but there's also a brief, an amicus brief that was filed by like something like 177 House members and 46 senators. Enumerating the various legal precedent and reasons why these states taking Trump off the ballot is completely outside of the boundaries of their power, and they go into the details on the Insurrection Act and that specific area of the Constitution. It's very compelling. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to take Trump off the ballot, and I think that he's going to sail right in there. They're the only people have been speculating on the way they get Trump out. And I think that there's only one way that they can truly take him off the chessboard. And I am loath to say it, but I think that it's always something that we should consider as a possibility because these people are sick. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get rid of him. But I don't think that it's a realistic possibility.
Assassination?
Yeah.
No, it's not realistic. It's not realistic because anything that happens to him will never be just he managed to get a really bad flu and died.
Right.
It doesn't matter. He can.
It was a lone gunman.
He can slip and fall down a flight of steps as long on camera, and nobody would believe that it was just something that happened.
No, they'll be looking for Anthony Blinken with a tub of Crisco or something.
Yeah. So I don't think it's very feasible. You're right. But yeah, that's where we are. And I don't know. The thing that gets me is when I hear people like, what is that? Yuval Harari, that guy.
Noah.
Yeah, Noah. When they're all out there saying things like it's a very real possibility that Donald Trump is going to be in office, they're speaking with a level of seriousness that you can say, okay, they either don't believe it and they just want to get people right, make sure that their base is very, very activated, very, very riled up and triggered into, oh no, I can't go through that again, even though nothing happened to them the first 4 years. Whoopi Goldberg out there saying that Donald Trump is going to now he had to wait until a second term. The first term would have been a bridge too far if he disappeared the gays. If he had disappeared the gays in 2018, it would have been too much all up front. But now he's going to. So I understand that there's a little bit there's messaging there to just keep their very reactive base triggered into wanting to go and do their part, cast their vote. But at the same time, there is a lot of people who seem very serious about this could actually go Trump's way in the general, which I just how that must be in a very overwhelming output there because there's not going to be any changing of the guard with the machines. There is no changing any of the laws that are on the books with the mail-in ballots. Nothing has really changed. So when I think about this, obviously the only way to overwhelm what is already in place is to have the highest turnout you could imagine, and so overwhelmingly going in one direction, that there's not enough margin of uncast votes to be able to cover the difference. Is it really that? Is that really the situation we're looking at right now?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there are some efforts that are ongoing, like, we don't have a pandemic this time around, or a plandemic rather. So there's not going to be the universal mail-in ballots in Wisconsin. They've been working on the indefinitely confined voters, getting rid of the drop boxes. I feel like there's also some other stuff that the RNC allegedly has a fleet of lawyers that are ready to be deployed to actually challenge some of the stuff. Nobody, I think, in the count room is going to be made to feel like a racist or a genocidist if they are asking to validate whether or not these ballots are being counted accurately. I don't think if let's say we're in Georgia, okay, and people are at the State Farm Center, and all of a sudden in the middle of the night they tell the people again that there's a water main leak. Everybody's got to go, and then they plan to go ahead and pull out suitcases of ballots. I just do not see the Republicans that are there as minders and watchers to submit to the same sorts of skullduggery and psyops that they submitted to back in 2020. I think people are on their guard this time.
I think that's part of it, and then I think also what people have lived through over the past 3 years. I think one of the biggest and most helpful things for Donald Trump has been the Joe Biden administration, the failures in the economy, the weaponization of the federal government. I think it's waking a lot of people up. And I think the poll numbers show that. You see huge increases in approval rating in like the black voters for Donald Trump, a massive, I think like a 30-40 point drop off in their approval of Joe Biden compared to 2020. You look at a lot of these national polls that Donald Trump never let in going into the 2020 election. We know that they're weighted and kind of rigged to look a certain way. He's winning those already. And it's not even the part of this season yet where Republicans traditionally surge in the polls. Typically leading, when you're this far out, the Democrats do much, much better in the polls from what I've seen. So I feel like the overall consciousness of the country is in a very, very different place. The other one that was interesting too, I don't know if we ever covered the poll on this show, but I think it was Rasmussen did a poll of people that are planning on being first-time voters, never voted before, just entering the political arena for the first time. Donald Trump is absolutely destroying the field when it comes to that. I mean, I think it was like 20, 25, maybe 30 points, if I remember the poll correctly, that he was leading on people that are going to be participating for the first time. So to me, there's all these indicators that people are kind of slowly waking up. They see the uniparty, they see the corruption, they see the big club that they're not in, so to speak, and they see Donald Trump as some sort of outsider that could come and potentially cause some disturbance to that, not maybe on the level that we think that it could go to at some point. But I think that a lot of people look at Donald Trump as something different than what's caused all these issues for the past, longer than 3 years, but they've been really on full display. And the border. I mean, I think the border is something
Huge.
that is really, really resonating with people, because conservatives hate it because they see what's happening down there, but you're getting these typically heavily populated Democrat cities, these sanctuary cities being flooded, their kids being forced to go home from schools or not having facilities for their after school sports or things like that to house these migrants, these illegal aliens rather. And you're seeing a lot of resentment building up towards, I think, a lot of these leftist policies and things like that. So I think it's a bunch of little things that are all kind of coming together. People see the scam for what it is in Washington, D.C., and then they see the way Washington, D.C. is attacking Donald Trump, and they're able to kind of put two and two together. Like, oh, man, this guy is actually a threat to this established order that's been fucking us over for God knows how long. We want that guy back in. And I think there's a massive groundswell of people that are going to show up and really try to get this guy in to make some kind of difference. So that's my thought.
I think you're right. I mean, look back at 2016. I mean, how many people were willing to vote for Donald Trump simply because he wasn't a politician, and we knew that we had to disrupt the system if we were going to do anything to change it. It's even more warranted this time around. And to your point about anyone who has been affected by the events taking place at the southern border, I mean, that's a massive number of people. I mean, yeah, as annoying as it is, the idea that like Abbott and DeSantis have been shipping these illegals up to like Chicago and New York, I feel like it's passing the buck. It's making a problem that's going to erupt at a later date. But it's putting a lot of pressure on those cities that became sanctuary cities and have been perfectly fine allowing that to happen for the last several years. And, they're shutting down schools. They're kicking people out of their homes. They're asking people to open their homes and give a room to an illegal. Frank, has anybody in your town suggested that you should open up your basement? Hey, you've got an extra podcast studio. Why don't you let a family of illegals sleep down there?
Oh, trust me. My town is collectively hosting many illegals. So they're finding a way. Not in my basement yet. Not in my basement yet. But man, oh man, no, it's something else. What's going on in New York and the lengths that they're going to ignore the only true solution is the real thing there. And they get all huffy and puffy about how they don't have the resources and it's a real crisis, but they never consider how cheap it is to pack buses and to send them to Mexico. Like they open up offices in New York City to tell people, hey, listen, we'll fly you anywhere you want to go in the world. When it only takes $500 for a bus ticket to the southern border. And that's just, but they don't do that. So I still think that they are pretending to be upset about this stuff.
I think you're right. The politicians in those areas are pretending to be upset about it, but the constituents, the citizens, the people that are living through it and dealing with the consequences of it, they're not. And I think that's where a major backlash is coming. I mean, I don't think even places that typically you don't see Republican victories are off the table necessarily. I don't know if a place like New York City is going to be voting as loyally Democrat as it typically does, or a city like Philadelphia, cities like Chicago, Illinois might be on the table and very possible given what the way they're treating, the people in Chicago that would typically vote Democrat. I think they're creating a lot of bad faith with their own voters, and they might have some ways of cheating and stuffing the ballot box a bit, but a lot of that gets negated if your people either don't show up, or even worse for them, if they decide to vote against you in spite. That's now 2 votes, that you would have, or a 2-vote swing from what you would have had pretty comfortably before for each one of those people. So how much can they really stuff the ballot box? Well, I guess we saw quite a bit, 81 million votes. It's pretty damn comical, but yeah. I don't know. I see a level of, again, consciousness and understanding and resentment from places you don't expect it at this stage. And I think that it's not going to be too difficult for the system to be overwhelmed by the amount of support an outsider like Donald Trump would get. And you look at how, like, the messaging from the left and the establishment, it's so desperate, guys. It's,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've got a couple of clips here I want to play that were in reaction to Donald Trump winning Iowa. Like, listen to Rachel Maddow here. This is a minute long, but listen to the messaging.
And the big picture takeaway from that, and I don't mean to be, again, too dark, as you said, on this, but it is not, if we are worried about the rise of authoritarianism in this country, we are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country, if we're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government, the leader who is trying to do that is part of that equation. But people wanting that is a much bigger part of that equation.
Oh, yes.
And the American electorate is made up of
Yes.
two major parties. One of those parties has been flirting with extremism on the ultra-right for a very long time. They've brought them in a way that they haven't been central to Republican electoral politics ever before, and I know because I've been studying this. But once you have radicalized one major party so that those are the preferences of the people who adhere to your party, the leader's interchangeable. And yes, Trumpism is sometimes what we call it. MAGA movement is probably a better way to do it. But there is an authoritarian movement inside Republican politics that isn't being bamboozled by Trump. They are pushing Trump to get more and more extreme, because the more extreme things he says, the more they adhere to him. And that is coming from a very large proportion of the American.
Frank,
They're like the seagulls. They're like the seagulls from Finding Nemo. Mine. I can somebody please? I put this out. I listened to that clip on my show a couple nights ago, and I put a call out. Of course, there was no lefty lunatics listening. I was surprised about that. I wanted somebody to call in to explain what ultra right was. I want to hear the ultra right explained and defined without mincing words. I would love to hear that.
I would love to as well, because they come up with these little monikers and little things to say, and then they use them as if they've defined them. They haven't. I would love to know too, Frank.
The ultra right. If there was like what would be going so far to the right? I think it's like it's ultra. It's maximum right. What would it be? What would the world be like? First of all, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist. There would be no parties. So that it sounds like they would love that, would they not? Oh my gosh, so crazy! It's like they're constantly battling some ghost. I don't know what it is. It's just crazy.
Gotta love this little sideways smirk Joy was giving Rachel the entire time. Just you say it, girl. Here's another one. This one's much shorter, but take a listen to this. This is another kind of side of it.
People truly don't understand what absolute power for Donald Trump will mean. And this is not a stretch. You could end up in jail. That's what dictators do. They take their political opponents and they put them in jail. He will own the Justice Department. He will own the military. He will own the FCC. And, when people say it's a stretch to put him next to Adolf Hitler or next to Mussolini, it says who? What do we know he's capable of doing as an absolute leader in power? And I will tell everybody who's thinking twice, if you want to vote more than one more time, you need to vote for Joe Biden, because your vote will not matter anymore. You give that up. We will no longer be a free society. We take that for granted. We are not catastrophizing. The darkness is that dark. People.
Of course you're you know what's crazy to me? They literally have only two pseudo-historical references that they wheel out for everything. It's just like all you have to do just say Hitler. It can just be like a non sequitur. Just say Hitler. Somebody asks you a question, just say his name. You have to have any other, and everybody will understand. I get it. Again, I understand them trying this in 2016, but he's already been president. He's already been president before. I mean, I don't get it. And supposedly you guys keep shellacking him in the elections, and whether they were real. That goes to show he's not a Hitler. All the results are real. And if it's not real, the fact that he accepted the losses with only a minor amount of pushback and then eventually went away on his own accord makes it, that's not Hitler either. So what are you fucking talking about? There's only retards that watch these television stations.
You're right. They are playing to a small fringe minority, I feel like, of the population that takes that seriously. But to me, it's also what inspires such confidence in 2024 and this next election, because they're not talking about ideas or their accomplishments or policy or anything like that. They're going Hitler in January. We have we have 10 more months of this and they're already at Hitler. Like that to me is a serious sign of weakness, isn't it? That if that's where they're at this early, like how do you escalate from that? How do you not how does your audience not get fatigued from that same messaging for almost a year straight? Because I mean they've been on that longer than just 2024. They've been kind of ramping up to this, for a few months at least now. But it's full Hitler, and like I said, we're in January. I feel like even if it is working on a portion of their audience now, by the time the election rolls around, like they're gonna be tired of hearing it and realize how hyperbolic and ridiculous it really is.
Maybe they're going to start trotting out AI generated images of burned babies from a Memphis church or something like that.
Yeah.
Targeted by the far right.
Exactly. The ultra right. You listen to it and you say, well, oh wow, it's only January. They're already going here. But I see it as they're like a 2-speed bike. They really only have, this is what they are always talking about. It's either the level of urgency kind of fluctuates. But if you are on the left, there's only so many things, so many statements you can make about any number of limited topics. You can't go. There's no room to wiggle around anyway. You can't entertain any outside theories about anything, because you'll either be denying somebody's science, somebody's identity. You'll be making too many cogent points that may offer some support for a right winger who has made them in the past. If you're on the left, you can't make any statements about anything. And anything that you are allowed to make today may be offensive 5 months from now. I mean, it is the most restrictive place on the planet. So when you say, well, what are they going to do? They're already going to Hitler. It's like they really only have that speed within a very short approved list of things that they can say and statements they can make. They have to try to be able to. The other night I said, it's as if they're trying to paint a picture with only black and white paint. And the only way that they can make difference in their same old fucking tired dialogues with each other is in determining how light or how dark the gray is going to be. That's it. I mean, there's no color, there's no nothing. They have 2 ingredients. They can't go anywhere else. So, I mean, of course it's going to get more vitriolic, but I think at this point it really just has to be about false flags or something that is happening in a kinetic fashion that they are able to report on and kind of wield it into their routine every night, because they can't just keep saying the same things. They got to be able to apply those same things to things that are now happening out in the world because of what they are trying to warn us about. That's the only thing that ever changes. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. How do you think they got to that point, right? Because it didn't used to be like that on the left. I feel like, prior to Trump showing up, I feel like there used to be at least some nuance to the conversation. They didn't just jump right to calling every person in the Republican Party a authoritarian or Hitler or anything like that. Maybe like the Tea Party, they had those kind of attacks towards, but I feel like wasn't until Donald Trump showed up, that they kind of painted themselves into that corner where they had to be that 2-speed bike that you're mentioning, Frank, that only painting the picture with black and white paint is that part of the beauty of an outsider that's not afraid of them, not afraid to challenge them, creates is, they have to make him such a villain, and then they leave themselves no room to be reasonable, because if they find themselves agreeing with him even a little bit, they kind of break the spell, the programming of their audience.
Well, sure. But also remember, Donald Trump has a very, very short amount of time left in politics. Whether he wins or not, this is his swan song in politics. And it's really just going to be about how that dominance in the echo chamber is disrupted and the echo chamber destroyed. I'll put you this way, and I'd like to see what Zach has to say. You're talking about was it like this so far long ago in the past? Well, it's been getting more and more obscene and more severe. The only thing is that with nothing challenging it, you can really boil the frog a little bit slower. Now it's like a mad dash to the end. You know, what they're doing at Davos, talking about at Davos right now, is really mad dash to the end zone kind of concepts out there. But for my book club right now, we're reading this this late 1970s comet hitting Earth disaster story called Lucifer's Hammer, and it's incredible to me to see in here that there are always these little times that are paid toward really, I don't know, relevant social issues like race relations or, women's lib or whatever the hell it is. There's always, very complex social issues that are come up that are referenced. And then but we were always able to welcome and expect there to be a common sense, classically conservative sense of grounding that always held things in orbit. And I remember having that being part of the culture even in the 90s. It was the last time we ever had that, because it's completely gone now. And that's what I miss, that there was some kind of feeling, and it was akin to almost being a child in the presence of your aunts and your uncles, where you kind of felt safe around them, because even though there's a lot of uncertainty out there, they were able to take things that are happening right now and be able to apply long time common sense solutions to them. And all of a sudden, you got over the bump. We don't have that anymore. Yeah, everybody likes saying, "Oh, well, the adults are back in charge." We don't have any. There's no adults. There's no adult mentality of anything. It's children who are always trying to avoid responsibility. It's children who want all of the cake and none of the grits. It's just sad in that respect. There's no balance to it all. And when there was, it was okay hearing somebody that had a little bit more of a left skewed worldview, because at least you knew that they were tethered to the ground. It's just madness right now.
Yeah, so I see it as a much the same way. I mean, it is a frenetic, mad dash to protect whatever possible future they might have. The only thing standing in their way truly is Donald Trump, and now the American people standing with him. This truly was a gradual takeover of America, an infiltration of the media and politics by elements of the intelligence community. And they were slowly brainwashing people, slowly pushing us into this progressive American future. Donald Trump comes along, is not afraid to point out everything that's wrong. I think a lot of people, myself included, with Obama, I figured that there was no saving the country. I mean, I saw how far we had gone, and I just didn't believe that it was possible to claw it back. I mean, none of the politicians out there seem to have the same vision of what possibilities lay for America. Maybe people would say things every now and then, but nobody had any balls. Nobody was really willing to point out what the real problems were. And the mainstream media was just gradually going towards a single point of view, no matter whether you were on the right or the left. And so Donald Trump comes along, shines a spotlight on exactly what's wrong with this country, directly pointing at the mainstream media, and they freak out. They say, "Oh shit, somebody lifted the rock. They can see me now. I'm not hiding any longer." And so the only thing they can do is to double down on the rhetoric. They have to just continue to push forward. Donald Trump swiftened their timeline just to an incredible degree. And as soon as he was out of office, rather than go back to some semblance of normalcy and just kind of, allow the country to percolate on what just happened and, maybe begin to boil us slowly again, everything had been brought to the surface. And so the only choice they had was to triple down on the direction they were going, triple down on the rhetoric, on the propaganda, on all of it. And the American people see them, and we're not going to allow them to forget it. We're not going to allow them to take over again in the way that we did before. So now Donald Trump is here. He is an existential threat to their power base, to their future in America. And he represents the possible scenarios for future timelines where America survives the American people truly control this nation once again, and we can live in truth, liberty, justice, freedom, all of the things that we want for this country. They are possible, but they are not possible as long as those people control the levers of power.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He is a once in a generational opportunity, the kind of guy that can stand up to everything, have things bounce off him, and have enough influence and clout to really reset the trajectory of things, hopefully to a much better place than where they're headed now. Let's see, it's 4:56. Zach, I know you have to get going, man. I always feel bad giving you like 30 seconds to start your show. So do you want to go ahead and say your goodbyes, wrap up, plug your show, anything you got going on, any final thoughts on the conversation you might have?
That way I can use the bathroom before I jump on for another 2 hours. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the show today. I had a great time talking with you guys. Love the free flowing movement of thought. Hopefully I will see you both very, very soon. And I had a great time at GART over the weekend. Don't forget, we've got tickets for Dallas, and then Deadwood is coming up after Dallas later on this year. So you can go to badlandsmedia.tv/events to buy your tickets. Many of them have already been sold. Don't forget to go to my website, redpill78news.com, and you can follow me on most any platform at redpill78, except YouTube. After they deleted me from YouTube, for some reason, they allowed somebody else to pick up that name, even though they wouldn't let me do it with a different email address. So that's not me on YouTube if you see them, and I don't even think they're uploading anymore. But thank you, as always, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Don't forget that this is the home stretch, you guys, and everybody who's still here and kicking it and getting ready to swiftly kick the deep state in the balls. You are the heartbeat of this nation, and so proud to be standing here alongside all of you. We'll see you guys.
Take care, brother.
Peace. See you later, man. Have a good show. Frank, always.
Yeah.
All right, man. What do you got coming up tonight?
Tonight I have Reverend Bill Bean is coming back on the show. He's an exorcist, and he was on with me over the summer in studio. Tonight we're doing a little bit of a follow-up many months later. He's got a new book out, and I just want to talk to him about, becoming an exorcist. And in the second half, a little bit of some extra things going on tonight, including the very, very overt push toward, with Davos, it's a very one world government kind of a atmosphere out there, but also we see more and more the incorporating of the one world religion aspect that is becoming more prevalent. So I want to do that a little bit before my big Davos review show tomorrow with Noor bin Laden, who has been reporting on this every day with Mel K and also Steve Bannon on the War Room. So tomorrow is going to be a big dive into all the biggest statements out there in Switzerland for the week. But tonight, a little bit more spookiness with Bill Bean, the exorcist. So thank you again, Adel. It's been great to be hanging with you and Zach.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I always appreciate it. And have a great show tonight. We'll catch up next week.
All right, later.
All right, there he goes. Two of the very best in the business. Frankie Val. You could find everything, quite frankly, at quitefrankly.tv. And of course, Zach Payne, also known as Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, over on redpill78news.com. My name is Adel Nero, and my channel is 412 Productions. If you guys want to come follow me throughout the week, I go live every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Saturdays at 10 a.m., we do some music. I take your calls, and we have ourselves a fun little start to our weekends. We got a couple more sponsors we'll do. I'll come back on the other side and officially wrap up the show. But thank you guys so much for being part of another installment of Taking It Back. Let's hear from our good friend Mike Lindell over at My Pillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from My Pillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
We all love our friends, but that doesn't mean that getting them canceled from time to time can't be extremely satisfying. Cancel Club. It's a party game where you try to get your friends canceled, where no one is safe and everyone's bound to be a little triggered. Battle it out for social credit points as fast as you can by gaslighting your friends, looting and rioting, or being an all-powerful little social justice warrior. Unless your friends call conspiracy theory or defame you, you old racist bigot. A parody on all things cancel culture. Join the Cancel Club today. Don't be a Karen, or order your game now. It's the dominant way to virtue signal. I will see you at the adults table. You canceled. Yep, that felt pretty nice. Party in my place,
All right, again, big thank you to My Pillow and the Cancel Club for sponsoring the show today, guys. Please go and take care of our sponsors, support our sponsors. Really appreciate you guys doing that. Also, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button for us, or the red pill, the repost, share the link, all that good stuff. Appreciate you all doing that. Let me go ahead and say some thank yous to those of you donating over in the Comfy Bunker on pill.net, the home of free speech. Floyd with a tucking it back cookie. Thank you, Floyd, for the cookie. Jesse, thank you for the cookie. Filter Dog, Ohio Kimmy, and Boys Blanc, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Target Driver says the FBI is just trying to control weapons. Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword. Hebrew 4:12. How about that? Thank you, Target Driver, for the can. Shovelhead says, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you, Shovelhead. Thank you. Luann V says, running for office is just like those perpetual students living off student loans and government grants. Nobody, thank you for the shades, Luann. I agree. And then says, nobody will fall for disease X, but it won't stop the World Economic Forum from trying. Also agree, Luann. Thank you for the shades and the cookie. Esther G13, great to see you in the chat. So happy when we get all three of yous. Me too. There's nothing quite like kicking it with Zach and Frank. Those guys are just total pros and so much fun to talk to. So always feel very grateful that I get this hour every week with them. Boys Blanc hooking us up with a cookie. Thank you. Filter Dog 1 says signal, not noise. Cheers, Filter Dog. Thank you for the can. Tomcat 01 New Jersey says, awesome show. Frank, Zach, and 412, thank you. You're very, very, very welcome. And thank you for the cookie and hanging out with us today. Floyd says, cheers to another great show. After party, not today, Floyd. I got some stuff going on this afternoon. So I'm going to be pretty much bailing out of here right after we're done with the gold pills. But maybe next week we'll do an after party. Thing is on Thursdays, I like to go and visit my nieces, since I'm done an hour early, and it gives me a couple of hours between the show and when their bedtime is. They're young. My nieces are 3 and I don't know, a little over a year and a half, so they go to bed pretty early. And Thursdays is usually my best opportunity to go over there, have dinner with my brother's family, and play with his little girls, before they go to sleep. So I typically try to use Thursday afternoons for that, but we will do that maybe next week. I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those things where when I can do it, I love doing it, but it's not going to be a super consistent thing. But we'll definitely be doing that format on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So if you guys are looking for a fun little way to start your weekend, and especially those of you guys over on Badlands Media, who might not be familiar with what we do on Saturday mornings, I usually put together a little playlist of music and I filter in music with your phone calls. So if you want to call in, shoot the shit, talk about pretty much anything, whether it's news, politics, conspiracy theories, life, culture, entertainment, what really any topics on the table. I hang out from 10 a.m. till about 12:30 in the afternoon, and we just chat. You know, I'll hang out with the chat. We'll take, like I said, we take your calls. I usually play some music. It's a fun vibe. So that's on 412 Productions. That's on pill.net, Rumble, DLive, Odyssey, Cloud Hub. And then if you want to follow on Twitter, I'm at 412anon87. But yeah, I would love to see some of you Badlanders pop in, maybe call into the show, say hello. That'd be pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we got over here. Deborah R with the Canon says due diligence wants an after party. Sounds good to me. Yeah, guys, I would love to hang out and do a little bit of an after party with you guys. It's not a good night for it tonight, unfortunately. And like I said, it's not gonna, the Thursday one will not be all that consistent. It'll just kind of be whenever I can do it. But Saturday mornings, you know, that's when really that format shines. So we'll definitely be doing it on Saturday this week. Deborah R, I read that one already. 123 SKG hooked us up with a cookie as well. Thank you guys so much for your gold pills. I'll go check the total and release the scratch in here in a second. Let's take a look at what we got. All right, 2,700 gold pills, and the scratching has been released. Rising Patriot 1776. Cheers and thank you for the can. I appreciate it. Like I said, the scratching has been released. So go and get your ticket, and hopefully you're all big winners today. And that is going to do it. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. we'll be back with another installment of Deplorable Discussions. I'll be hanging out with my I think it's just going to be TN Homesteader. I don't think Pinata is going to be available tomorrow, but I'm hoping to get Ben and Tina Garrison of GurGraphics.com, the legendary political cartoonist, to jump in and hang out with us in the second hour. So we'll have some fun wrapping up the week, and then again we'll do our Saturday morning chat on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you all again so much for tuning in. For Frankie Val of QuiteFrankly.tv, Zach Payne of RedPill78News.com, I'm Adel Nero, and this has been Taking It Back, a 412 production syndicated by our good friends over on Badlands Media. You guys have an awesome rest of your Thursday. We'll catch you all on the next one. Good night, everybody.